So welcome everyone. And yeah, today we're talking about what is triggering you. Are you being triggered? I think it's a time where so much is going on energetically and around the world globally that we're getting triggered more than we usually would. It could be the news, it could be people around you, your loved ones, it could be many things. And so today we're going to talk about how we can manage our triggers so we can be less reactive and finding ways where we can calm our nervous system and just take a deep breath and allow the trigger. It's coming. We're having to work through a lot of things. So we're working through our past, we're working through what's going on presently, and we've probably got some fear about the future. But yeah, what do you think, Joe? Being triggered. Have you been triggered recently?
Hi, darling. Thanks for having me again. Welcome to everyone who's live with us. Thank you for being here with us today. Yes, absolutely. I
Silly question.
if I'm speaking for myself, I've been triggered a lot over the last week, and more so, I think, because as we're going through this huge energetic shift, I'm finding that things that I didn't even know are being buried, that are being brought up, that I actually don't even remember experiencing, especially childhood stuff. For me, and it's very interesting because I'm like, I don't remember my childhood like that. I don't actually remember my childhood, but clearly because I blocked it all out as a kid, I didn't want to live through it. So the things that are triggering me, I'm like, where's this coming from? So I've had to really sit with it and really understand what it is and get to the root of it, because I think triggers, they all have roots. We don't get triggered for no reason. And most of the time in what's going on now, so what's triggering me now is bringing up all these old things that have never been really healed properly or really looked at, and really processed properly. So I think this is, for me, it's been a big time for processing and understanding. I can't take this into where we're going next. We are all consciousness as a collective. We are all expanding and evolving extremely rapidly at the moment. We're being forced to. And so these things are showing up because we can't take it with us. We can't take these, lower unhealed processes with us, for sure. So I think, yes, we're all being triggered in one way or another. The world is, and the world's not triggering us personally, but it is revealing something that needs to be worked on, that needs to be processed, that needs to be healed. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of
definitely.
people who have got childhood wounds are definitely coming through. So we're getting triggers for maybe what's going through in our lives presently, and it's magnifying something that's going through us presently, and actually it's connected to that childhood, to something that's happened to us in our childhood that we've locked away. Like you say, it's not even like we even remember it. And like yourself, I don't remember much of my childhood at all. I've never been able to remember it. So I mean, people say that's a sign that there's things that you've put in a box, or you had to swallow that information, so it hasn't come up. But then I do believe that when triggers do come up, it's because it's a time, an opportunity to heal them. So yeah, I know a lot of people have been having these triggers, and it's been a very emotional time collectively, for sure, as we know from different times, different days, that we didn't know that we were going through something. So there's been a huge load of crying. And what we have to remember about when we cry, when we allow ourselves to cry the river, and I honestly, if somebody said that you could cry a river, I just wouldn't believe them. I think you must be joking, that you could practically cry, on and off all day long. I would think, oh, come on, seriously, that doesn't happen. Feeling sorry for yourself, you're feeling a bit.
No.
But no.
But at the moment, it is.
It is. It really is. And
It really is.
numerous people have been telling me that, because I think I've still felt a little bit of a bit of shame around actually crying that much. Because obviously we don't want to be crying in front of other people, especially if you don't feel safe when we're out and about trying to do our, our stuff. We don't want to be crying, do we? But I've noticed
No,
that, yeah, but it's very healing when we can actually be in that state,
in the
and
process.
yeah, and be held by people that we trust. It's not like we want attention. It's not. It's just holding the space. It's almost like honoring the emotion. And we don't necessarily know. Well, I certainly didn't know where it was even coming from, what was it about. But just having somebody that can actually hold that space makes it a lot easier. Really does. And
Yes.
there is quite a lot of shame attached, like, oh, you're crying, oh, you're crying, oh, you're being over emotional, oh, you're too sensitive. No, there's stuff coming through,
No.
And
It needs to be
I'm
looked at.
and others can also hold that space. So yeah, I feel very lucky.
And I think, yes, absolutely what you're speaking about, everyone's being triggered in different ways at the moment. But the thing is, if we suppress those triggers and we're not willing to sit and process and actually reflect on what's actually really coming up for us and where the root is, we never actually fully heal. When you can observe the trigger and sit with it and really deeply allow yourself to process, allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to really feel it and feel what it is, and then to be then able to observe it from a witness, like a third person, because most of these triggers, like for me, have been things that I didn't even know happened in my childhood that are showing up. So now I can witness it as an outsider and be like, wow, okay, but now I'm being triggered in this moment in my life about the same thing. The root of it was then. So actually, it's not serving me anymore. It's really not. It has no purpose for me anymore. It's just, but that's because I didn't understand it because I blocked it out. So I'd never healed it. So now I'm having to do the work again on actually really healing these parts, because I think then it's, you can't ever not get triggered, but it's how we react to triggers. It's how we can we sit when we get triggered, and instead of just reacting and mouthing out or doing whatever reaction it is that comes with it, is to be able to sit with it and be like, hold on, I need to first reflect. I need to observe what it is this is going on, and then how can we transmute it? And so that's been part of my practice, over the last week, is when I'm being triggered with these things, is allowing myself to cry, allowing myself to feel these emotions, allowing myself to understand that this was my childhood and it doesn't actually have any hold over me now, but I don't want to carry it with me anymore. So I now look at it and I'd see the trigger and I'm like, whether it's rejection, neglect, whatever it is, could be not feeling safe, danger, constantly feeling like you're in danger. There's so many different wounds that in our childhood that we're carrying. But when you can look at these little wounds and be like, you know what, I am safe now. I am, it's okay. So now you can then actually transmute it and change that energy, reprogram that root of, okay, so I let go. It's not protecting me anymore. I'm not neglected because I won't neglect myself. Maybe I was neglected as a child, but I'm not going to neglect myself as an adult.
Yeah, it's like the inner child is
yes.
like the inner child is coming through, the small child, the young child. And I see it as like it's a doorway. It's like an opening. And, we can try and slam that down and close it, or we can just allow and surrender to what is coming through. And I think when we start surrendering and allowing those tears to flow, and obviously, releasing all the hormones that are also helpful for us to heal us, but then it's actually, then some information is coming through as to why that it's coming through now. Like you said, old wounds, and we all have them because we've all had a childhood.
Absolutely.
We've all had parents and they've done their best. They've been imperfectly perfect, and they've given us the lessons that we needed to learn at that time because that's what we experienced. And so I think it's like really tuning into, like you said, taking a step back. Okay, it's a bit confusing when you are crying because it's a bit like, what's going on? I don't know, and so, but it's like kind of allowing that fully to express itself. And when we express it, even if we don't know what it's about, because obviously sometimes we don't get that information, that just doesn't drop in. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of,
But we don't need to know what it's about.
no,
We don't actually need to know. We just, even it could even be things like just not being heard, not being felt like we're never seen, we were never heard as children,
yeah,
we were never had, we didn't feel valued, we didn't always feel safe and necessarily loved. Well, that's just me personally. And so that's where my triggers came from. So when I don't feel heard now, it does trigger something, but I'm learning to not, instead of reacting, is how can I just be in that process and heal that and make myself feel safe? Because at the end of the day, it's not about, no one can make you feel safe. You need to make yourself feel safe. And this is the work. This is the inner work, is that, I've done the inner child healing because I left home when I was 16. I've done this long journey of it, but all of a sudden it's showing up again because there were things I never, ever even realized happened. But now they've shown up and I'm like, wow, okay. So there's a reason it's showing up now, because it needs to, as a collective, and the way we are expanding and the consciousness is expanding and our oneness together, we have to, and for us to bring the new generation and the new world in a different way, so that we can break all these generational patterns and all the generational conditionings, we have to fully heal these. So yes, at this moment in all our lives, we are feeling a lot is coming up to the surface.
yeah.
So
And
it's not about being scared of it. Let's rather embrace it and understand that it's part of this journey of being able to evolve as humans now. Being able to evolve as spiritual beings.
Yeah. And I think it's like layers, isn't it? So you've done a certain amount of work, right, on yourself for a long time. But then there's always layers and layers, and they can't, they'll only come out when the time's ready. And because collectively we're getting ready, then that's how it's flooding through a lot of people at the same time. So coming up collectively for us to heal. So it's for us to look individually, but even though we're looking individually, everyone around me is pretty much experiencing
the same
this
thing.
Same day, next day, or within a couple of days, or at the same time. So we're sort of, moving through the support system.
I think that it's also interesting because it's showing up. These triggers are showing up differently. Some are physical for people, so people are becoming very sick. Some are obviously emotional. Some are, there's so many different ways that these triggers and these things, and people are like, why am I feeling like this? But it's just because we have to step up. We've got to, for the best of humanity, it's the most beautiful time at the moment, as we are shifting and unraveling a lot of the conditioning. But that means we've got to do it on a personal level as well as a collective for it to happen.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And we're doing the work, right? We're born for these times. That's what I always say. When we're going through difficult times, it's like, well, yeah, but we chose this time to come back. We chose this time to be here on the planet to help, humanity to raise its consciousness. And that's the work that we're doing. And we have to do it individually and collectively. And hopefully we all have somebody that we can get support from when we're going down into the dark night of the soul, or we're just having a lot of emotions, which can be confusing and isolating. So we want to make sure that we can break through and share that, because when we share that, when I've shared it with other people, afterwards, a day or two later, and then they'll be saying, "Oh my God, that was me last week, and that happened to me." And so it's like, oh, okay, so I must check up on them because they've got this coming through. So, then you're sort of gathering all the friends that are feeling all of this, and that.
And I think just a little check-in with people that are all going through it. Just, how are you feeling today? I mean, I love it because I've always got you. I've got a few of my girls and they're like, "Jo, where are you at? How's your inner weather today?" And I'm like, yeah, at the moment I'm feeling pretty stable, but things can change. We're going through huge moments, and it's very powerful and it's really beautiful. And I think if you can have a real awareness and understanding of what's happening within ourselves, to actually be able to witness this consciously, be able to witness human evolution I think for me it's magical. It's like one of the most beautiful things I think we'll ever do.
Yeah, but when you're in it, it's a roller coaster. You're on the roller coaster ride.
Oh my God, yeah, it's the most
you know,
I feel like I'm
and
having an exorcism. That's what it feels like, because you don't know what's going on. It is. It's like you're having an
it's really
exorcism. It's just
scary.
like, wow. How do you experience all of this in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, because
So
it comes on unexpectedly, and then you're
okay.
stuck in this roller coaster. I don't like roller coasters. I don't know about
See,
you. I
I
don't
do.
like.
I love them. So maybe that's why I ride it. But I'm like, woo, just strap in, strap in.
Yeah,
Hold
but
on
I guess
tight.
the more we have, the more we can like
Yeah.
laugh about it and embrace it, and knowing that we're actually just clearing another level,
Yeah.
and congratulating ourselves that
Yeah.
we're getting through it. You know,
Then
championing
we
each
get
other
doing it.
to keep on
Yeah.
getting through, and then we go up again. What we have to remember, when we go down on the roller coaster, we do come to an end, and we do,
Yes.
go up another level, and we do manage it. But reaching out for help, I think, is really key, because we can then accelerate and go faster through the roller coaster. So
Yes,
we don't have,
absolutely. And I think,
you know,
and triggers, there's nothing wrong with triggers. Triggers are just unprocessed parts of ourselves that just need to be seen. They need to be dealt with. They need to be felt, because unless you're willing to feel, you can't heal. So if we keep suppressing stuff and pretending like it's not there and carrying on, like distracting ourselves, and keep working harder and harder when the whole world is saying, listen, you need to slow down. There's things that need to be healed and felt. If we keep pushing, these things aren't going to ever get processed. And so you're constantly going to go through being very triggered. And it can be, and some of it can be triggered. It can bring up anger, like that's unresolved. But actually, anger is a very powerful energy that it can be used to create. If you can transmute that anger from anger of rage and like hurt to anger, use that same fire and transmute it into creativity and learn to create from that same energetic source, it can be very powerful. And I think that's where we've got to just realize these triggers aren't bad. They need to be dealt with. They need to be felt. You need to feel into these things.
yeah,
And
and
you
a
need to
few,
feel into these emotions so that you can heal them.
yeah, and a few things that you can do. I mean, I was watching the other day with this woman that works with fascia, and she was saying, get a pillow, and you can just bash it on the bed, because it's
Oh my
like,
gosh, I love it.
transmuting this energy, and also like, for
Screaming
me,
into a pillow.
yeah, or scream. Yeah, I haven't done that. Maybe one.
Anything. Yeah.
Just
Oh my
throwing it
gosh,
is
it's amazing.
and for me, like journaling and scribbling and just expressing myself and singing. Not at the moment because
Absolutely.
I'm throat, but expressing ourselves, through music, like you said, transmuting it and just making sound and moving our
Moving,
body.
dancing, just
Yeah,
letting
getting out
it
to
move.
nature.
I mean,
Us
I
women.
love music. I love dancing. I even felt hard. I felt it really the other day. I was trying to move and dance, and even I couldn't because I was in such a deep process. So I just sat and listened to music. But then I listened to very high frequency music. And then I just sat and I just watched nature, watched the sunsets and watched the bats and just listened to music and cried and just it really allowed myself to embrace the moment. I couldn't dance. I don't know. I felt like I had one leg. So nothing was working. I was just like, oh yeah, I love dancing. So yes, there's
Yeah.
just other ways, just allowing it to be what it is. And don't judge it. And let it be a mess. It's okay. It doesn't matter.
I know, but
Life
I think
sometimes is messy. It's okay. Don't be scared of it.
but I think sometimes people don't like to lose control, and they maybe get worried that it's escalating, but it does end.
Yeah,
And you
it
know,
does.
you can, sometimes I think just lying on the floor and just lying
Yeah.
in stillness, just allowing, and then noticing what you're feeling going on in your body. It's really like you say, when
Yes.
things are speeding up and time is speeding up and emotions are speeding up and everything, it's actually we really need to slow down,
Slow
really slow
down.
down. The faster things go, the
And I think a
slower.
lot of us are being forced to slow down. Our computers are not working, our phones, something's happening. A lot of us are being literally forced to slow down, to take a moment. You feel all of a sudden you feel totally overwhelmed. You feel totally off center. It's because you need to slow down. You need to pause. You need to come back. You need to come back to yourself. You need to listen. Ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Why am I feeling like this? What is showing up? and then give yourself the love,
Mm.
give yourself the comfort, give yourself the moment of 5 minutes, whatever it is, just to
Mm.
have that time of stillness and
Mm.
compassion and love for yourself. And
Yeah.
then go back to whatever you were doing when you feel ready for it. Because I can also tell you, I can't create, I can't work, I can't do my work when I'm feeling like that,
Mm.
because the energy and my frequency is totally off. So when I'm
Mm.
trying to create from an off frequency, my work's going to be off. And I don't
Mm.
think people realize the effect that it really has on us. By forcing and keep going and keep going, it has the
Mm.
wrong effect, because your work then starts portraying that same energy, because
Yeah.
everything's energy. I think we
Mm.
need to, sometimes when we are off, it's better to stop, it's better to pause, it's better to have a moment and recalibrate and get back to the energy you want to create from, and
Mm.
then go back to work and do it from a different frequency.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you're on this roller coaster, you have to say, "Okay, I need to take time out. I need to take time out, allow the emotions to come through, allow my body to rest." It's overwhelmed, it's stressed. Like our computers are, everything around us reflects. I always think when my bike doesn't work and things go wrong, it's like, oh, okay, it's a reflection of me, right? I'm tired. Yes, I am tired. We can't just keep on going on and on. And if you've made commitments to do things, well, you can cancel. It's okay.
Yes.
People
Okay.
understand. And so it's really about noticing what our needs are and actually taking action for ourselves, because we can only do that for ourselves. And yes, definitely about kindness. You know,
Mm.
Sometimes we get so hard on ourselves because we haven't finished something that we, like for me, my audiobook, I suppose, honestly, I've paid a subscription for a whole year and I still haven't done it. But today I started doing it, and I've got it all together, but there's just a few obstacles that I couldn't get over. And so it's just like, actually now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll give it a go again. And it's sort of working. I've got a few little blips, but so it's like really, instead of just trying all the time, it's just like, oh gosh, that's divine
Pushing.
timing. That's what I say, divine timing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be out when it's divine timing. And we
When
can't just.
when there's a lot of resistance, slow down,
Mm.
because there's a
Yeah.
resistance for a reason. So rather slow down, take a moment, check in, and then go back, because resistance is also another message. It's another message. You're feeling resistant. Everything's going wrong. There's too many challenges. Things are just feel like they're falling apart. It's not. It's because you are not willing to sit and listen and observe yourself and observe what's going on, and make the changes and be kind and do the things you need to do. There's so many beautiful, easy tools out there now that really can take you from a very, very overwhelmed, stressed, anxiety, feel like you're losing the plot moment, to a very regulated state in a very short amount of time.
Mm. Yeah, even just taking a day off and going on an adventure. Like the other day, I went to beautiful Cinnamon, and just walking through nature and the water and the beauty and seeing somewhere new, because apparently when you see new places, it affects your brain, your eyes, your visuals. It's really healing. So that was really nice. Sometimes in the middle of it all, we just need to take a break. I know because time has speeded up, and we just can't get everything done that we'd like to do. It's just like, yeah, but we
Yeah,
just and enjoy life.
that's what I keep saying. I'm on a sabbatical at the moment, because
We might
I
be here
love
for
my
about.
work. I love my work, but I can't work at the moment, so I'm on a sabbatical. A forced
Exactly.
sabbatical, so I can
Yes,
just do me.
but then, you can enjoy that, and this is what has been offered. What a lovely gift, you
Yeah,
know? Because
yeah,
the thing is, we don't need to keep
absolutely.
on pushing, we just need to attract in what it is that our
Yes.
higher self is actually putting out there. We don't need to act, it's actually we just have to even just visualize, like they say, even if you visualize yourself going to the gym, you're working out kind of thing. So we just need to visualize what we want to bring in, and we can just do it maybe all through visualization. And ping, it can all be done. I like that. No, but I
And
do
it can,
agree.
it can,
It is.
but then again, but you have to have all of our sections in place. So we've got to be aligned. We've got to have balance between our physical, emotional, mental, and
Yeah.
spiritual states. Because if one of
Yes.
those states is out, you can't call anything in, because there's an unbalance. So we
Mm.
have to, and this is why it's so important to check in with ourselves and check in, and where are we unbalanced? Where do we need to do a little bit of work? What needs a little bit of extra attention and care? Within ourselves and in those 4 sections of our lives. Because if any of those are unbalanced, I had a call from a client who was like, Joe, how do you manifest this and this? And I was just like, darling, are these 4 blocks in your life aligned? Is there balance between all of them? And she was like, no. And I was like, that's fine. It doesn't matter what you do. It's not going to happen, because you might want something in one section, but then you're doubting it in another, or you've got unhealed things that need to be processed. There's a little bit of guilt and shame somewhere. I was like, you can't manifest from that energy, and those are blockages. So we have to really take time to really check into these sections of our lives, because they need to all be in balance together. Then everything falls into place. Then it's like a magic wand. But if we're one of those areas of our physical state, and we're not looking after our health, and we're tired and we're stressed, and then you've got the mental side of it, the mental health. If that's a bit unbalanced, and then you've got emotional stuff that's being brought up, that's being buried and not being dealt with, then you can't. As much as you want to manifest, you're never going to manifest anything from that state. It's just not. It's not possible. Energy doesn't work like that. And I think sometimes we forget how powerful being an energetic being is, but we have to find balance with all those parts of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we are energy, and we're attracting to us what we need to resolve within ourselves, or to mirror back to us that we need to look at. And okay. Do you think there's anything else we want to share? I think we've been on a roller coaster ride of trusting these times at the moment. But I hope everyone is.
There's nothing else. Just be aware at the moment of anything that is coming up, anything that is triggering you at the moment, and allow yourself to look at it deeply, and allow yourself to observe, and try and just reflect on these things, but then also allow them to move, and realize if it's from your childhood, you don't need to take it with you anymore. You can feel it, allow yourself to process, heal it, and so then you can transmute it into something that's much better and more empowering for you.
Yeah. And also, you could also, I always have a little circle of friends, and I put in the people that currently, they're the ones that I can go to. I've got a safe space. I can speak to that person, so maybe also look at who in your life that you would understand you at this time, because some people don't, and then it can be even more triggering and more isolating. So maybe think about people that you can connect with now, that are similar to you, that you sort of put the feelers out about how they're feeling. And I always feel that, if I connect with somebody, one of my friends, chances are they are going through something, because we're all mirroring each other. So, keep an eye out on your people around you, and, support them, and they will support you when you're on your roller coaster. So, I hope you're having a beautiful day or evening, wherever you might be in the world. And
thank you, Alice, again for having me with you to share this moment. And thank you to all the people that are live with us.
Yes,
and I hope you all have a magical day. And you just stay on the roller. If you're on the roller coaster ride, just tuck in, hold on. You're going to be fine. We're all going through it. So let's go through it together, and hold each other and support each other.
Yeah. And if you want to contact us, feel free to share. We're on a roller coaster ride, and we're all on it together. So let's make the most of it and clear the. Okay, Jo, thanks so much for today.
Thank you, my darling.
Next week. So join us then. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Lots of love. Thank you. Bye.